It is 7 o'clock on the East Coast. It's 4 o'clock on the West Coast. You heard me right. Even though it's for posterity's sake, we got it on time this week. We actually have our stuff together, which is amazing. Welcome to the Clubhouse Podcast. It is the 29th of March in the year of our Lord 2020, Season 10, Episode 24. 520 times this face and or this voice has welcomed you to the Clubhouse Podcast, your one-stop shop for all things pop culture, live normally every Sunday night, 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific on the Vocal Now Network. Go to vocalnow.com, VOKALnow.com, bookmark it, download the app. There's literally something for everybody right here on the Vocal Now Network. Welcome. My name is Rob. I am the executive producer of the Clubhouse Podcast, and I'm home. Like literally, I'm at home. With everything going on, we're trying something a little bit different this week. We apologize that we're not on live, but because of everything going on, we didn't want to deny you guys any content to help you get away from everything that's going on, what I've now officially called COVID Mania 19. But it's still going to be Alex and I this week. He is live via his office upstairs in his home. What's going on, brother?
Just another day in the well, no, can't say lockdown because that is definitely different than shelter in place.
And that's gimmick infringement. That's gimmick infringement.
Yeah.
Because you're not in the USO penitentiary.
The USO penitentiary? That was mighty white of you.
I said USO.
You said USO.
I did not say USO. I was very
You meant USO.
I'm going to go out and have to check the tape.
Okay.
Because we are still live. I mean, we are recording this via Zoom, which really was the best option we could find at the time. We're trying to get
based on some of the
out.
feedback that I got on prior videos, no, number one, I am not on drugs. Number two, I do not have heterochromia. I have a blind eye. I do apologize. Don't worry, everything's good. It's just always on that side.
And I'm still this. So. But we are actually at our respective homes. This is the true definition of a home show this week. We're working on a way to go back live, but until then, we still want to make sure we give you guys some content. But the good news is, with this thing, what we can do is if something breaks, I can call Alex and say, hey, let's go do a video. Now that we actually have a YouTube channel, go to the Clubhouse Podcast on YouTube. This will be the first video that's posted on YouTube. So we're very, very excited. Subscribe to that channel, and you will be notified anytime we do something new. And that way, everybody has what they need on the go, and we're good to go. Let's get right into it because we've got a lot to talk about. The Summer Olympics officially happening in 2021. What?
We hope.
I think it's going to happen next year. This can't go that long.
Well, no. I'm not talking about it going that long, but I can also see them just putting it off since we're in this groove that has the Olympics every 2 years. Now we'll have back-to-back. Don't get me wrong. As a fan, I'm not complaining, but where we'll have back-to-back Olympic years, I could almost see them saying, you know what, every country has basically had an Olympics off for one political reason or another. I could almost see, depending on how long this goes or even getting later, where they could just say, let's pump the brakes. We'll take the next one. Let's stagger everything back.
I don't see it not happening next year just because the worldwide economy part of it being
as a people will need it.
Well, not only that, but as these countries that are investing in these athletes and these athletes that are investing in their time, I know a lot of them are probably disappointed because they wanted to be able to just kind of exhale here in a few months, but now they're going to have an extra year to train. So I think you're still going to have back-to-back years because that way it'll reset after 2022.
Sports Illustrated has done a really interesting series on this. I don't know if you've caught it.
I have not.
It's essentially athletes that are stuck is kind of an exaggeration, but are in a shelter in place or cannot go do normal training and how they are handling it to keep their body in shape. Mika Ness, or I probably have messed up that name. I'd have to look it up, and I do apologize. Was the one that they just released earlier about skateboarding becoming an Olympic event this coming year, and the fact that she is now having to train in the small skate park she has built behind her house.
But they're finding a way around it, and that's the good thing.
Absolutely.
And the rumor I had heard that they were taking Greco-Roman wrestling out, I thought was weird because, that's OG Olympics. Why would you take that?
That's the original event.
Exactly. I do want to send a shout out. I was listening to Fat Man on Batman yesterday, it's Fat Man Beyond now. Kevin Smith was saying that the Four Seasons Hotel in New York City, because people aren't traveling and staying in hotels. And for those of you that don't know, the Four Seasons is highfalutin. And you can ask Don, because Don used to work for the Four Seasons. Don was on the Cheap podcast. He couldn't make it for the Clubhouse podcast, but they're doing fine. They're doing well. Jen Rome also doing well, so nobody worry about them, but keep them in your thoughts and prayers if you would. The Four Seasons in New York City are donating their rooms to doctors and first responders if they can't get home after a shift and just need a place to go and rest for a few hours. They are donating their rooms to those people so they can have some semblance of normality in between the madness. So I definitely wanted to send a shout out to the Four Seasons in New York City. And if any other hotels are doing anything like that, we want to thank you for what you're doing for the people that are out there doing necessary and essential functions, so that we don't just collapse into nothingness. So shout out to them. I wanted to do a couple of quick, I don't want to call it the NASCAR segment, because we're not just going to talk about NASCAR real quick. I want to start the Indy 500, now happening in August.
Well, you can't have a year without the Indy 500. That's just basically it.
But here's my question.
Okay.
Indy racing in August? It's going to be a billion degrees at the Brickyard.
Also not seeing the problem.
Why wouldn't you do this in October when it's a little bit cooler weather? Because that's the point of having it.
Because it's
on
Indiana.
Memorial Day
trying to do it on the ice.
Not in October.
Indiana has had crazier weather.
We all have.
Also true.
I thought August was an interesting choice.
I feel like that's the last month where you can guarantee warmth.
Well, but why not just do it on Labor Day? Since it's normally the day before Memorial Day, why wouldn't you just do it the day before Labor Day?
That is another interesting idea, but that is also still August.
What are we going to do if it goes up against SummerSlam?
They
haven't given it date
SummerSlam
yet.
wins.
For us personally.
That's fair.
But SummerSlam not that far away in Boston. So, television headline.
That's a much further stretch than you think it is, sir.
More than it is here. It's closer to there than it is.
Yeah, that's not saying much.
The logic is still sound.
Meh.
Although have you seen what NASCAR's been doing though? Before we get to television talk,
I have seen some of the stuff that some of the drivers have been doing. I don't know if you are referring to the same thing, so please go.
Well, apparently this was supposed to be TMS weekend.
Right.
They still apparently had an event out at TMS. Russ texted me earlier today and let me know that it was still happening. But basically, NASCAR has become esports.
Yes. This is I've seen.
Which is, I think, genius. Because really, this is the only sport that you could really effectively do that in. Because you could get everybody in a room. And it's like you're at Dave & Buster's.
But at the same time, by that same logic, you could still do the same stuff, because these people doing esports aren't necessarily using a cockpit and wheel.
Right, but I still think this is the
You want to have the video game set up with the cockpit 6 feet apart.
Well, no, I think that would be the best way to do it, because that would be
hilarious.
A literal simulator, which you really can't do in any other sport without a holodeck, and those don't exist yet. But to have them in their little racing cockpit, just like you would have went to the arcade back in the day, and you sat in the little chair and you had the little thing. I think that would be the best way to do it. And I know people that actually do that in their homes, and it's plausible.
There is a genuine stretch goal for me that I've always wanted to do that, just because I've always been a fan of the racing games, but I can't get into it when I'm doing this.
Oh, I totally agree.
I want the wheel.
And it's way too sensitive. It's like,
it's supposed to be. Yeah.
And that's just, that's old man Rob talking, but
It's not inaccurate, Rob.
That's fair. Television headlines. Jimmy Kimmel Live will return tomorrow, but he's going to be doing the same thing pretty much everybody else is doing, doing the monologue and stuff from his home, and then his guests will be on via video chat, which I think
this is the best way to do it.
Yeah, that's good enough.
I mean, you're still creating content. It's not the same, but what is?
Oh, it's literally what we're doing right now.
Right, but what I'm saying is it's not the same, but it's getting something there.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
Also, the Golden Globes are altering.
Be a very interesting carpool karaoke. I know that's a different show, but you just have the monitors that
you could
they
do
all
a virtual,
say "Be well."
You could do a virtual background that somebody on this show is so fond of doing.
Well,
The Golden Globes are altering their rules, which is
Go on.
very important because of the way things are happening right now. For 2020 films that were supposed to be released during the time of COVID Mania 19 is happening.
Mhm.
What you can do, because the normal rules is that you have to have Hollywood Foreign Press members in a third-party facility in the Los Angeles area. That's normally the rules. But what the Golden Globes are doing now is they're saying you don't have to do that, but you have to make an appointment with the Hollywood Foreign Press people where you can send them a DVD or a screener link.
That's
So
big.
you can still stay eligible. I still think this is the way this is going to go eventually. I am still
You mean overall, regardless of
Correct.
concept?
Correct.
Yeah.
I'm still a fan of going to the movie theaters, and we're going to talk about something that's happening, or I don't want to spoil it, but we are going to be talking about something like this when we get to movie talk and tech talk. So stick around for that, if you don't mind. Again, this is going to be a long video to watch because we're not live, but just stick with us. Also, they're also going to give those films that went straight to VOD during this time still will be eligible, but the same rules apply. They have to make an appointment with the Hollywood Free Foreign Press to get those screener links or those DVDs to them, and I think that's fair and equitable. You know, I mean, we miss being able to go to the movies, but we also want to give some of these films the recognition that they deserve as well.
Yeah, and especially when you think about it, you have certain movies now. We actually just rented, or should I say, bought Bloodshot the other day, which is something that would be in the theaters. I actually enjoyed it a lot, and I believe I believe there is a written review of it available at theclubhousepodcast.com, and
which
this is
our
where we
website.
Really needed done.
Ding.
Yeah,
because of the way the setup, I don't have I've been trying to figure out how to do this from my actual studio, but it would be a logistical nightmare. So,
but it was a very enjoyable movie. But what I was thinking of was that movie, while not exactly being a great example of something that would probably win awards, but you have other ones that may be missing out on that revenue that would need that kind of Golden Globe recognition. So that's really big
up on
for
the
them.
Back end.
Exactly.
Carson Daly and his wife, oddly named. I don't want to say her name because then my phone lights up. But they have welcomed baby number 4, a daughter named Goldie Patricia. So congratulations to the Daly family.
Goldie Patricia.
Yep, that's what we're going.
I guess at 4 you're just running out of good names.
Yeah, or you're halfway to Philip Rivers, one of the two. Congratulations to him, by the way. Good luck in Indy.
I think he's going to do well.
AMC has decided to bring Killing Eve back 2 weeks early. For people that but they're doing it on Easter Sunday. But I guess people are going to be home anyway, and I mean Easter may just be another day at this point.
That's also true.
I know my
virtual Easter egg hunts.
You know what? That's not a bad idea.
Some of my best ideas come from me being a smart.
That's right. But like my church has been online the last couple of weeks. A lot of people are having to go that way, and
I saw that hot linked in your browser when you were on the other show showing something that we might want to, maybe drop a little hint to on this one.
Did you see that in my things?
I was like, yeah. Oh, it's like I had one of those moments where I was like, maybe sharing your screen is not a great idea. Wait, Rob's not a heathen like the rest of us, so that's okay.
Allegedly.
You're just better at it.
Netflix has renewed Love is Blind and The Circle for 2 more seasons apiece.
Oh my God. Have you met anybody that wasn't talking about Love is Blind lately? It's insane. No. I mean, outside of the normal scope. Because I've heard
this is one of those
people talking about that.
This is the reason the rest of the world hates us, or shows like this. This and this other thing that we're going to talk about here in a minute, this Tiger King thing, can we stop glorifying people like this? Like, this guy is in prison, and I don't care if this is a spoiler or not. He took a hit out on another zoo owner.
Allegedly.
And not only this thing has taken the world so much by storm that Netflix is now doing a limited series version of it with Kate McKinnon.
I'm sorry, with who?
Kate McKinnon.
Is she playing Joe Exotic?
I believe she's playing the wife. I haven't watched this thing. I will not give it a minute of my time.
Wait, never mind. There's enough I know about this that gives me more questions than answers, but we'll that's a discussion
Right.
for another
Because
day.
like I said, I don't know if there's a wife or not. I'm assuming, but I'm just not. I'm not giving this thing my time.
There's 2
I
husbands.
just don't care. Don't care. Like I get the concept of the documentary, and I love documentaries. And I don't know if it's because I'm getting older or because documentaries are getting better done. But stuff
I
like
can give you a
this, where
perfect
it's
example of why
glorifying,
this really is. The perfect example of why this really is catching fire. This guy is Kevin Bacon of the crazy. He is 6 degrees from everybody in the wrestling world. He's 6 degrees of everybody in the entertainment world. It is insane, these little threads that connect to everyone, despite this guy being from another planet, so to speak. That's why this is catching fire so much.
take your 6 hours and go watch McMillions. That's all I'm saying.
Well, you got more than 6 hours, so go ahead and watch whatever you want.
Have you watched McMillions yet?
No,
Dude,
because every time you ask me, I put it off a week.
well, write it down. Because I'm
Okay,
telling
now
you,
we're off 3 weeks.
as much as this documentary series is one of the best documentary series I've watched in a long time. And there's a new one. It's a one shot that HBO debuted this past week that I want to watch. It's about the concept of fake news.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I
that
did hear about
I
this.
very much want to check out. Netflix also making an Angry Bird series. This is where I need my crickets.
Yeah, exactly.
But they've canceled Messiah after 1 season.
I was very intrigued by this show. I know you would not. Feel
I
it,
can
but was
take or
very
leave
intrigued.
it. I can take her because I don't see a show like that being blasphemy necessarily.
Fair enough.
It just is what it is. But the most interesting Netflix news this week came down yesterday. And former cast member of this show, Chad Womack, is probably going to lose his mind. The Ryan Reynolds.
Positive or negative?
Positive.
Yeah.
The Ryan Reynolds news.
I do not know this.
Oh.
Okay.
If I were
Go
to
for
tell
it.
you Ryan Reynolds live action Dirk the Daring
Means nothing to me.
Dragon's Lair, the game.
Okay.
He is
Yes,
doing
no.
Dirk the Daring in a live action Dragon's Lair for Netflix. I'm all in. I'm
It's all
all in
before
on
me.
this.
It's all before me,
Did
but
you
I know
never
it's a
play,
big niche.
even when you
Nope.
were a little kid, you never played Dragons? But you know what Dragon's Lair is,
I know what
right?
it is. Yes,
Dragon's
I know
Lair
what
was
it
the
is.
very first video game that was fully animated by Bluth Animation, who they were huge. He was the guy that left Disney, went on his own, did The Secret of Nim, things like that. I believe he did some of the Lord of the Rings stuff. I know Bashkin did some.
He did The Hobbit.
Joe the Hobbit. Okay.
Yeah.
But all of the entire game was on a laser disc
Yes.
that went inside, and you had to time your motions right to get Dirk the Daring to save the princess from this huge dragon. Very difficult to play, but amazing. They've got an entire corner at the National Video Game Museum just down the road from where I live that's dedicated. And the restrooms are actually Dirk the Daring and the prince and Princess Fiona. Was it Fiona? No, that's Shrek. But the princess are the male and female. There's so many princesses.
Yes, that's true.
But the fact that Ryan Reynolds is doing this, I'm all in. Because it's Ryan Reynolds. I mean, come on. The guy can almost do no wrong in my eye.
You know what? I find that very interesting based on what you and obviously we don't know how this situation is going to affect later movies this year, but with him having what was it? Good Guy?
Oh, Freeman.
Free Guy.
Was it Free Guy or Free Man?
I'm going to have to look it up to
I
verify,
think
but
you're
the
right. I think
idea
it is
is
Free
that
Guy.
but the idea is that he is an NPC in this, but now he's going to be the not title character, but the main character in this.
Right.
Which I find very interesting.
Again, I'm all in. Rosie O'Donnell did a one-night-only fundraiser last Sunday night to help out the Actors Fund in this time. Raised $500,000 in an hour.
Good. Princess Daphne.
There you go. Nicely done.
Yeah.
Quibi, if you know what this is a new streaming service that's coming
Did
along.
we ever confirm that? Because I know we had talked about this before and gone back and forth if it was Quibi, or whatever it is. I haven't heard anybody actually say it.
I'm going with Quibi just because it sounds fancier. But they're bringing back Singled Out.
I don't know how I feel about that.
With Keke Palmer and Joel Kim.
Nope. You don't have Chris Hardwick, you don't have Singled Out. I don't care.
I agree. Michael Biehn is your latest casting announcement for season 2 of The Mandalorian.
I did see this. I'm very intrigued because I love Michael Biehn and everything,
And Bill Burr is coming back as well.
who is always great.
Yeah. I've been a Bill Burr fan since way like when he had hair.
All right, we're going to play this game then. Have you watched F is for Family yet?
I have not. I'm fully
Okay.
willing to cop to that. And it's not because I don't want to. I'm just really being very cautious with the
It's
things I get
very
myself roped into.
Yeah, it's very Bill Burr. You can get through it in a matter of a day.
Is there 2 seasons or 3?
There is now 3 with a 4th coming later this year.
Okay. Maybe
I
when I
very
finish the
much enjoy
project
it.
that I'm working on, I might.
That
start
might be on the
doing
list,
something, maybe.
along with Rick and Morty.
Nope. And you know what? Now I'm pushing Rick and Morty back a year.
That only sounds like a mildly bitter old man.
Just because it's what you're doing with the other one, I can do with that. And
I'm actually going to watch McMillions this week.
season 10 of American Horror Story, they announced Macaulay Culkin's going to be part of that.
He's been doing a lot of interesting things if you follow his feed.
Oh, absolutely.
It's really good.
I think he's getting ready for a career renaissance. I believe it. Because I think he's finally coming back around. What's old is new again.
See, but I also feel like he likes right where his career is because he is making a good living off camera.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely.
And I feel like he loves that.
There's a couple of things on Blu-ray and DVD from a TV standpoint this week. Season 2 of The Purge. I don't know how that affects your household. And
it doesn't.
Season 4, which is the final season, and the complete series for Mr. Robot this week.
That might be one for me to binge. I never did watch Mr. Robot, but I heard fantastic things.
We could just go over some quick NFL stuff. We talked about Andrew Luck now being in Indianapolis. That's a 1-year deal, isn't it? Not Andrew Luck. I'm sorry, Phillip Rivers.
Back up. Phillip Rivers, yes,
Phillip
1 year, 25.
Okay.
But there is some allegedly some language about how they can match anything after that in case, he, speaking of Renaissance, if he shows it. But I think he's going to do a lot better because Phillip Rivers hasn't exactly played with a full offensive line in years. So that's a good one. Circling back, it is Free Guy confirmed.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
And then there's this other thing.
Which other thing?
That affects your household.
I believe it affects our households.
It does. I don't honestly. Let's just put it out there. Tom Brady now a Tampa Bay Buccaneer.
I believe
NFC
somebody was telling you that, and you kept saying not going to happen.
I fully copped to the fact that I said he wasn't leaving New England.
I didn't think he was either, but Tampa Bay just came in screaming.
Well, somebody apparently went scorched earth this week about. Oh, it was Joe Montana. Went absolutely scorched earth on how New England screwed the pooch on this deal.
Yep. Well, this is also Joe Montana, arguably the greatest quarterback before Brady, who also got traded to Kansas City and took a bad Kansas City team.
Yeah, I still feel like this is like the Nelson Mandela effect of Montana in a Kansas City jersey. I feel like that's some weird parallel universe thing. Have you ever heard of the Mandela effect?
No, I have not.
The Mandela effect says it kind of supports the multiverse theory that there are people that will tell you that they have seen news reports and read newspaper articles that Nelson Mandela died in prison. That will fully own that. Even though we know he was released from prison and lived out his days afterwards.
And became
there are people that will tell you he died in prison. It's like, and it works in correlation with the Berenstain Bears. That there are people that will swear to you that those books were spelled differently for decades, but there's no proof of it. I
have never heard that.
Look it up. It's a fascinating concept. Call it the Mandela effect is what it's called.
Okay.
But that's how I am with Joe Montana as a Chief. I can't.
See, there's exactly one reason I can always remember him as a Chief, and that's because young me was in that age where any kind of niche story became so fascinating to me, and it's how he couldn't wear 16 on the Chiefs because of Len Dawson, but how he came out to his number 19.
Yep. It's still weird.
Notre Dame plus 49ers for those.
It's how I believe there is a parallel universe where Dan Marino played his last season with Pittsburgh. Because as we know, that was that close to happening.
Yes.
which would have absolutely destroyed my soul on every level if that had actually happened. But
I thought
the Brady
as much as it
thing,
would have hurt my heart, I would have understood it.
the Brady thing, I'm not going to turn my back on my team. Let me just say that up front. I cannot,
What if he
in good
does come out looking like
conscience,
riffraff?
if I can, no, remember, I'm ride or die with my team. I have
That's
never
true.
left the side of my Dolphins. And the only time I ever rooted for the Cowboys was when Emmett was here because it was Emmett.
Overrated. Moving along.
Still great. Hall of Famer. I will not say greatest of all time because
Thank you.
I still ride with Barry Sanders. Always will. And
And that's not my number one.
I contend, the reason Barry Sanders retired was because he didn't want to break Walter Payton's record.
Who is the greatest of all time?
I will agree, but still, Barry Sanders, that's 1 and 1A for me.
Mhm.
2, if Barry had been behind that line, he would have retired 5 years earlier because nobody could have touched him. Nobody.
Yeah.
That line and that talent. I love Emmitt Smith. I'm unapologetic in my love for Emmitt Smith, but Barry Sanders is just it's a non-issue.
Yeah.
Numbers don't lie. Copyright ESPN. But
That is also true.
the Brady thing, like I said, I will not turn my back on my team. Won't do it. And for those of you that are like, wait a minute, you're a Dolphins fan and a Bucs fan, let me explain. The
South Florida.
Dolphins are my team. No, hold on. There's actually a reasoning. I grew up a Dolphins fan.
Mhm.
Will always be a Dolphin fan, even though I hate that logo. Tampa Bay didn't happen until I was
You mean the
in college.
current logo, correct?
Yes.
Okay,
I want the Dolphin with the helmet. Tampa Bay happened when I was in college. And you have to remember that when my freshman year of college, I attended the University of South Florida, which is a stone's throw from where at the time the Big Sombrero was.
Not even a good stone throw.
Yeah. So at that time, Tampa Bay had 1 winning season in the entire history of the franchise. At that time, 91-92. Also, this was
Bo Jackson's an awful person. Moving along.
But also, the pewter uniforms hadn't happened yet.
Oh, the creamsicles.
Yes, with the pirate, which apparently is coming back in 2021. They're doing full-blown throwbacks next year, and it frightens me. But yeah, New England, I'm talking to you. But
Patriot Pat.
Oh, I hate those uniforms so much. Oh, I hate those uniforms.
Well, supposedly New England's talking about changing their actual uniforms now to try and separate from the Brady era.
Well, and they're also saying that Tennessee's going to wear the Oilers uniforms.
Which I'm okay with. The Warren Moons.
Right. So, again, I'm not going to turn my back on my team, but living in Tampa Bay my freshman year in college, that team's fan base is so amazing. That made me a fan of the Buccaneers. And I fully
That's how I became a Giants fan. So we're in the same boat.
And plus, I have an AFC and an NFC team, and that's okay. Baseball is a whole different problem for me. But it's going to be very hard for me to root for Tom Brady. Do I believe he's an upgrade from what we had? I absolutely do. I was never a Jameis Winston fan beyond where he went to college. I've just never been sold on him. As a human, I have no real issues with him because he did a lot for his community. Fully willing to own that. I've just never been a fan of him on the field. I've always thought he was overrated.
He has a lot of problems with his head game.
Yes.
All the physical tools, 5-cent head sometimes.
I have to move my microphone a little bit because it's hitting my cheek. I don't know if it's affecting the audio. I'm in wait and see mode with him right now, with Brady.
You want to see if he's done or if
I'm not going to say he's done, but the idiot light is on. You know what I mean? The idiot light's that little signal you get which says, "Hey, you've got less than a
the check engine light."
Right? No, the gas light. Check engine light's different. This is the gas pump light.
The gas light.
That's the idiot light. Because it's like you've been watching this gauge go down. You need to do something now. The idiot light is on with Brady. What can he do with that last gallon and a half of gas?
Allow me to also point out that Tampa Bay's last year number 2 receiver, just based on statistics, also happens to be a man so great that he got another man a Heisman, and people thought he was wonderful in Johnny Manziel because Mike Evans was so damn
Oh, I
good.
love Mike Evans. You know I love Mike Evans.
But what I'm saying is how enticing is it to have somebody of the caliber of Mike Evans and Godwin and OJ Howard
I'm not
and
disagreeing.
Cameron Brate?
I'm not
But what I'm saying
I'm
is
still in wait and
this
see
makes
mode.
too much sense.
Now, here's the thing that I don't know. The fact that you might not be aware of this is very slim. McAfee said something the other day that I found incredibly intriguing.
Okay.
Have you looked at the odds of Tampa Bay having more wins than New England?
No, I have not.
Minus 110.
So it's a straight bet.
I'm sorry, it's plus 110.
It's the underdog?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so let's just say we need to wrap this COVID thing up because I got a flight to catch because my mortgage is depending on this.
Oh, McAfee was like, take every penny you will ever own and unload it on. Yeah, they're the underdog of number of wins versus number of wins in New England.
Well, have you
Which
seen
I
the
think
other
is
side
insane.
of this coin?
Because even from a schedule standpoint, Tampa Bay's schedule is easier than New England's.
Well, of course it's going to be easier than New England's. The schedule works off of where you finish within your
Right.
division, and they're
So for them
always
to
first, and
have
Tampa
the
Bay
easier
not so
schedule
much.
and be the underdog is mind-blowing to me.
Yeah,
But we're going to see.
there is the other side of this coin, and I don't know if you've seen these reports about New England going all in for a tanking, which is why they haven't signed another quarterback other than Brian Hoyer, who I love. Brian Hoyer, always going to defend him because he's one of the best backups you can have. But the key word there being backup, and just riding it out with Jarrett Stidham, who, let's be honest,
He's serviceable. He's at least serviceable.
No, he's not.
I
No,
would
he's
think
not.
he is. I'm saying
He's garbage. He is NBA level garbage. But here's the thing. They're talking about this as being like the worst kept secret in New England was, okay, let Brady go because we know, as you said, the idiot light is on. But what happens if New England goes, say, 1-15 and has the first pick?
It wouldn't surprise me. They're going to go after
Trevor Lawrence.
Absolutely, they're going to go after Trevor Lawrence. Whoever
Yep.
has the first pick next year is going after Trevor Lawrence.
Except for the fact that they're saying that New England is going to tank the year and try to be in at least the top 5. So the worst case scenario they can do is blow everything up and give a Ricky Williams trade for Trevor Lawrence to get that first pick.
But here's the more important question. If New England decides to tank, do I need to inflate the air mattress and put it in my studio in the fall for you to live here?
I think I might have to bring my own air mattress. Just please don't step on the side and make me pee myself again.
Okay, that was an accident and you know that.
I'm not saying it wasn't an accident, but did you or did you not step on the side of my air mattress?
I meant to nudge it, but I nudged it, but it had deflated so much it turned into a step.
That's because I'm fat.
No, it's just because you didn't set it up properly.
No, I set it up properly. I'm just that fat.
Goodell says that the draft is still going to happen.
A lot of remote picking. There's no
a lot of what we're
events in
doing
Vegas
right now, probably.
Yeah, but there's no events in Vegas. All of the events in Vegas have been canceled.
There can't be because all the
there can't be.
They've shut down for 30 days.
There was a lot of petitioning from the city saying, here's how we can do this. Here's how we can do this. Here's how we can do this. And Goodell just gave them, pick one.
Well, but what have we learned from television? WWE taught us you can do a draft remotely.
Not well.
That's true. And we're wondering. Obviously, OTAs are going to be pushed back. It's just going to be interesting to see how all this works out, and we'll take it. We're going to take it. I think maybe next week we should just devote that episode, unless something catastrophic happens this week. Maybe break down the 4 majors. Because there's been some very interesting things put forward, especially by Major League Baseball, that I think that we can get into. We've only got an hour and a half show, and we're already 35 minutes in. I think that we can save that maybe for next week and maybe bump a couple of segments and talk more about the 4 major sports and what's being proposed, what we think are the best options, and what we don't.
And one of the interesting things we can touch on, since football theoretically should be unaffected, we could talk about the draft. And think about how many times you see people that, number one, are not present in person,
Hmm.
what's the average number of people they have when they're at home?
You mean watching or from the staff?
Oh no, I'm talking about the actual players getting drafted.
Usually, if you're out of the top 20, you're probably at home.
No, but you're at home, but there's usually about 25 to 30 people
Oh,
with
people in the house. I see
you.
what you're saying. Yeah.
Yes.
Is
And that
every
doesn't
one
even
of them
count
going to
camera
have their
crew.
own Zoom with everybody? It's going to be like the
You
Brady
just walk
Bunch
in,
for
they're
every
all in
pick. They're out
pods.
like this, and they're going, they're pointing. Yeah.
They're all in pods in the house.
Some music news. Maren Morris, who is actually related to someone who used to work for one of our vendors, our friend Ashley, who's now down in Houston. She and her husband, Ryan Hurd, have welcomed their first child, Hayes Andrew Hurd, on Monday.
What is with all these kids being named Hayes lately?
I don't know, Hunter Hayes?
Friend of the show, Chelsea, named their newborn Hayes as well.
Mazel tov to them. I didn't know that they'd had the baby.
It's a few weeks ago, but still, it's just Hayes is such a, I want to call it a unique name because everything else sounds worse.
Apparently, this was an emergency C-section after 30 hours of labor by Maren Morris.
Oh, my mother can sympathize.
As can mine. Mine was 24, I believe. And this
I was 18 days.
Early 70s. Oh, good God.
18 days late, yeah. This melon had to fit out somewhere.
Speaking of the country music, the ACM Awards now set for September 16th on the CBS. So that's where it sits now. This is the weirdest probably move this week, in my opinion, especially from a music standpoint. Lady Gaga has postponed the release of her album Chromatica because of this. Wouldn't you want that album to come out? Because people are going to download it and you want them to hear it.
I wonder if the idea is to have it closer to a release for any kind of touring purposes.
People ain't gonna have much choice of what they want to listen to, so I would want it out as quickly as possible. Speaking of releases,
well, you're thinking of it from a purely download standpoint. I think this is more along the lines of, hey, I know you haven't been able to get through all of the album yet, but here's the concert.
Want to send a shout out to friend of the show, Chance Munsterman. We had him on the show about a month ago talking about his new song, Every Step. It is over 7,000 downloads on the Spotify right now. He sent me a text in the break. So we want to send a shout out to Chance. We're very proud of everything.
Congrats, Chance.
Looking forward to having lunch with him when all this clears up.
There's a lot of people I'm looking forward to having lunch with when this all clears up.
That might be a list coming up of things I'm looking forward to doing. And
the worst part is, in my mind, my first thought is first 10 people I'm going to hug, but that's not a long enough list.
That's fair. The Kellis, that all of the milkshakes and the boys in the yard, she has a new show on Netflix coming out called Cooked with Cannabis. And you want to guess the date it debuts?
I'm going to go out on a limb and say it's sometime before the 21st.
The day before, absolutely, 4/20.
Yeah.
See what you did there.
Yeah.
As Tom Griswold says, that's the kind of joke that every time it's told, a cricket gets its wings. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction ceremony now set for November the 7th, and still for the first time ever will be carried live on HBO. They were supposed to do it live.
I thought they did it live before on HBO.
No, it's always been tape delayed by a month.
Oh, wow.
It was supposed to be the first time this year. They're still going to do it. It's just going to be in November. Spotify, we talked about them a moment ago.
Mm-hmm.
They are pledging up to $10 million to support artists during this time, and there will be some in-app fundraising that they're developing that's going to be available very, very soon for people to help those in the recording industry that are out of work during this time. So watch for your Spotify stuff. We're big fans of Spotify on this show because of what they supply to those of us that are still in the DJ industry. And
there's also the aspect of remember to think about your local artists if you can do anything to contribute, whether it be buying something
and you've still got about a week and a half on American Mariachi. If you watched last week's show, go out. American Mariachi, you can go to attpac.org. There's apparently a lot of Broadway shows that are doing this where they film their dress rehearsal so you can still attend a night at the theater. With American Mariachi, it's literally what you can afford to pay. As low as $15. Then you can get a Broadway quality show, because I've watched it. I reviewed it at www.theclubhousepodcast.com.
That's still our website.
Ding. It's a great show. It really is. It's a really good show. You can check my review out even if you want to do that before you download it. But all of the proceeds are going to help our friends that are out of work at this time. Speaking of people donating things, Rihanna has donated a bunch of safety gear to New York hospitals as well.
Good.
So I love how people are coming together in this time. I really hope that we can continue that momentum once we're allowed to breathe fresh air again.
Yeah.
So,
And
music new
for
releases.
anybody that think about how many people you have like in the medical industry, they deserve the utmost of support.
Agreed.
Financial, physical, other, whatever it is. Those people are crazy, in my opinion, because I'd never go into the danger zone like that. But there are so many people that are.
Music new releases. There was only a couple that made any sense to me. One is just because of the name of the band. Peach Pit,
As you tend to do,
has an album this week called "You and Your Friends," and the Monkees, the Mike and Mickey Show live. So if you that was supposed to come to your town and has been postponed, there'll be a live recording that available to you this Friday.
Good.
Let's just go. Like I said, we're going to put off the rest of the sports talk till next week. I think that'll be a good time for us to kind of concentrate on that a little bit, because I've got the feeling that this is going to be a very slow week in the entertainment industry.
Well, but before we also get off, did you see the news about Sports Illustrated's release this week?
No, I did not.
The first one done entirely remotely, and even the cover is just empty stands.
Oh, so it's a virtual issue of Sports Illustrated only.
No. They sent a physical copy. Like everything to compile it was done remotely, and then it was printed.
Oh, okay.
So there was nobody in the offices that worked on it. Mine actually just came in today. That's why I was thinking about it.
Okay, no, that's fair.
Oh, yesterday. Excuse me.
I
Today's
just
Sunday.
think that this week's going to be a slow week in the entertainment industry, just because, I mean, almost all the headlines that I saw this week were just about stuff being postponed. And
Yeah,
I was
that's
like,
true.
yeah, can we just make that a blanket
the world.
statement and be done with it? Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
if you
Tell us
love
when
it,
it's
it
not.
ain't happening for a while.
Yeah.
And if you don't love it, it also ain't happening for a while.
Tell us when something isn't, like the Florida Derby, which went off for some reason.
We talked about Rihanna donating supplies in New York. Arnold Schwarzenegger is donating $1 million for medical supplies, and he's also got a GoFundMe up with a goal of $5 million. So if you're looking for somebody to donate to, look that up as well. Because we have states, and we don't do politics on this show, but we have states that are not getting the supplies they need for dumb reasons.
Speaking of which, a little bit of crossover with the other show. Did you happen to see about Dustin's shirt?
Oh, the one they talked about on Dynamite this week?
Yes.
The American Nightmare shirt from our friend?
No, Dustin.
Oh, Dustin. No, I did not.
He has a shirt that is going towards contributing towards Central Texas food banks.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, so there's a lot of that going on in different areas.
And where would one get that shirt?
That would be at ProWrestlingTees.com.
It's so funny that you mentioned that. We know that we keep the shows separate. However,
it's too cool not to.
When something big happens, we have to promote it on both shows. And all I'm going to do right now is I'm just going to share my screen so you can see it. Right there, friends. Oh, not yet. Now you can see it. ProWrestlingTees.com/TheCheapPopcast. Alex did some great work for us this week and has officially worked with our friends at Pro Wrestling Tees, who we have been huge fans of for years. If you have seen me wear a Pro Wrestling T-shirt, I would say 80% of the pro wrestling shirts that I wear are from Pro Wrestling Tees. What do you mean? What am I doing? Do I need to scroll up? You're telling me? That's what you're looking for? All right. If you go to ProWrestlingTees.com/TheCheapPopcast, you can find us there. We have 2 T-shirts there for your edification right now. $20 for a T-shirt is not that expensive in relation to the T-shirts you're going to buy. You can see we've got the Vocal logo up there for you. We have our Book in the Checkbook T-shirt, which we've mentioned on this show a bunch of times before the separation. We cannot thank our friends at Pro Wrestling Tees enough for giving us the opportunity to help open our audience up a little bit. Go to ProWrestlingTees.com. You can even go to the home page, click on podcasts and YouTube channels, and then click on the Cheap Popcast. You can get there as well. We are going to put the link to that in the description of this episode. A number of different styles, a number of different colors, more sizes than you can shake a stick at. So we just got this thing up and running a couple of days ago, which is why we're not wearing our gear, but we will be as soon as they get them in. They're also doing, you can do increments of $1 donations where you can go to a fund that's going to help their people that are out of work at this time. So help them out as well there. Bad Boys for Life is actually going to hit VOD on Tuesday.
Nice. So we can see if it's the Iconics more crossover.
I enjoyed it. And Never, Rarely, Sometimes, Always will be on VOD this Friday. This is a movie that's probably not going to be for everybody. I actually was unable to attend the screens for this, but this is about a young lady who, in the pre-Roe v. Wade era, crosses state lines to have a pregnancy terminated. It's a very intense film, but if you are interested, that will be available for you on VOD this Friday. Wonder Woman 1984 has been pushed back to August the 14th at this point.
I see what they tried to do there.
Go ahead.
814. 84.
Yeah, fine. Fair. We also have a couple more people that have joined the Bruce Willis Lana film Cosmic Sin. Frank Grillo, who I'm a big fan of, I like his work.
Huge fan of Frank Grillo.
And Luke Wilson have joined the cast of We're Not Doomed or Halo or anything like that. So Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, which is...
I'm very intrigued by what's happening with this.
They're saying they're going into production in June.
Which I can totally see that because I'm expecting a lot of green screen.
Oh, absolutely. And then
so they could use the closed set.
And this is supposed to be Marvel Studios' first straight-up horror film.
Which is going to test your limits.
Yes, it will. Yes, it will.
Do you need me to go with you so you can hold my hand?
No, I'll just read the Wikipedia page. I'll be fine. But I will say that in that particular project, because we don't talk about my MCU project, we only talk about the other one, which we'll be talking about here momentarily. But in the MCU project, the next one I have up is Thor Ragnarok, which I'll be watching this evening as I'm waiting for Westworld to drop into HBO.
Which is still one of your top 3, I want to say.
I love Ragnarok so much.
So do I.
I just got through Guardians Volume 2, so I'm ready for that cleanser. Let's see. Netflix has pledged $100 million in relief to out-of-work production people.
Wow.
So Netflix, I mean, everybody's
and I want to say a lot of
man.
these started up after Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively really opened up the purse for Canada with the $5 million.
Well, I know tonight Elton John is hosting the iHeartRadio, which I believe starts here in about 10 minutes or so. They're doing a streaming multi-artist. I know Thursday night I missed it, but the Black Moods did a Facebook Live streaming concert, which if you don't know who the Black Moods are, look them up. They were actually supposed to open for Metallica before all this happened. They opened for Whitesnake last year. A friend of the show, Heather Fogelman, I got her to check them out, and now she's all about them. I found them out through Bob and Tom. So let's see. There's a musical coming out about the making of Jaws next year.
Anything that's more Jaws kind of gets my endorsement, but at the same time, wait, what?
But a musical about the making of Jaws? It is called Bruce because that was the name of the shark. But
about the making of Jaws.
Yeah, it's about the making of Jaws. It's not a Jaws. You're like, there's something in the water. No, it's like, we're making a shark. We're making a shark. We're making a robotic shark.
I was picturing like a 40-person choir just going, bottom.
Man.
Because you know that's going to happen.
Oh, that's probably going to be the opening line from the opening song, I'm sure.
Possibly.
I don't know. Do I need this in my life? I say that a lot.
You know, there's an aspect where we talk about, like, is everybody just out of ideas? Well, this is almost an entirely unique idea, and it's about a topic we do tend to care about. I mean, if you were in your office, you could, like, pan the camera to your left, but if you were in your studio, or in the studio.
Oh, I was like, no, I'm actually in my office right now. I'm not. Oh, okay.
No, your studio.
In this house, the office and the studio were two different places.
Correct.
So China was working on a deal that America's actually looking at where theaters were going to reopen for free. And in doing so, but it was only going to be showing older films like Endgame, doing the Harry Potter films and things like that, to
That
try to
still
get
sounds
people
like a
just to
problem.
get. Well, here's the problem: it was shut down hours after it happened
Yeah.
because they weren't ready yet. I like this concept because it's going to get people back in the habit of going to the movies. I just don't know. You can't do this for more than a week or two.
I don't see this being a good thing at all. I don't get me wrong, I love the idea of people being in the habit of going back to theaters, but you're asking people to congregate in a closed room.
Well, but again, after all this is over, and we're
Okay.
back to full bore. I'm not
Okay,
saying
when we're back to that.
tomorrow,
Okay,
but
see,
the problem is
that
you've got
part
people
dropped
that are
out. You
yeah,
didn't come out. It just was,
people because the concept is people are going to be cooped up in their houses for so long that we've got to get back in the rhythm of being out amongst each other again, but not until it's safe to do so.
okay. Yeah, and well,
But I feel like you can't do this for more than a week or two because studios are going to need to start releasing their films.
absolutely. Well,
So.
they're not saying that they have to do it in every showroom or every theater within a multiplex.
But that's going to be hard to track, brother.
That's also true.
But we'll see how that works out. Is somebody watching this show? News coming up Wednesday. If you are an Amazon customer, you will be able to stream all of the James Bond films in 4K. Now, given what Wednesday is,
Let's hope it's not.
Different.
Yeah.
But odd that this gets announced, 3 days after we talk about it on this show?
I find it funny.
Maybe,
I find it really funny because
maybe I just have
we
ESPN.
had talked about it literally on air.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. Does Fox watch this show?
Well, they don't really think when they put out their own content, so they probably rip from others.
That's fair. DVD and
We
Blu-ray.
know we have been ripped off from other shows.
Lord knows. DVD and Blu-ray new releases in places you get DVD and Blu-ray new releases this week. It's episode 9 week. Here we go. But not Disney Plus yet.
Disney Plus actually did it earlier.
Episode 9?
Yes.
Rise of Skywalker.
Rise of Skywalker.
I'd like to see the paperwork on that because
I had it available last week.
Not as a free view on Disney.
The Apple
Plus.
TV. The Apple TV also had VOD with it as well, but it linked with Disney Plus as being available.
But
so
not
it may
free.
have been a situation where, it may have been one of the parking where they had the spot for it. And,
right.
Yeah.
A movie called VFW. I don't know if you've ever heard anything about this.
I have not.
This was let me pull it up in the MDib because this was an independent film that had a very short release and it looked really interesting. But I don't want to screw this up. Stephen Lang, William Sadler are both in this.
Big fans of those guys.
A group of war veterans must defend their local VFW post and an innocent teen against deranged drug dealer and his relentless army of punk mutants. Fred Williamson is in this. George Wendt is in this.
So basically what you're saying is this movie is entirely filled with that guy from That Things.
Yep, blowing stuff up.
Yeah.
The Current War, which Don actually saw late last year. This was about the fight to bring electricity to America. He thought it was interesting, but it was a little long. But the theatrical cut was the director's cut, which that's a whole different discussion for a whole nother time.
Well, now was there a write-up from Don on this?
I believe you can find that at www.theclubhousepodcast.com.
Still our website.
Ding. The Michael Hutchins.
Where is Don when we need him?
I know.
The one time he's allowed to say the ding.
The Michael Hutchins documentary, Mystify, available this week. I want to check that out. And 2 Criterion Collection movies this week. The original Showboat. 40s or 50s or 60s. And Prince of Tides, if you need more Barbra Streisand in your life. The only thing I have on that movie was from Coffee Talk on saying, this is so Prince of Tides. That's all I got.
Actually, there's a really weird relay on that. The only reason I know what Prince of Tides is it used to be a big thing in my household because we didn't have much to go along. So when we got a new movie from the Blockbuster, that was the one time we were allowed to stay up.
Oh, jeez. I'm sorry.
Wait. No, this is where the pivot is funny, because there would be the one time my sister and I would be allowed to stay up, and we both looked at each other and went, I'm okay to go to bed.
Hard pass.
Well, no. Because it was one of those, it was like, yeah, it's a movie. Prince of Tides. It sounds like it's something medieval. And then, what is this? What? I want to go to bed.
Yeah.
No.
Ugh.
That was the first time I remember openly rejecting a movie.
Ugh. Tech Corner stuff. CBS All Access is free to you until April 23rd. So if you want to catch all of Picard and all of Star Trek Enterprise and all the stuff that's on there, you can do so for free. My house pays for it. HBO Max.
Oh, really?
Yeah, my wife.
You never confirmed that. You said they kept coming for your dollar, but you never confirmed the caving.
This was my wife and things, and she's watching stuff on it. And I'm still boycotting. I shouldn't be, but I am. HBO Max is still set to debut in May. Which they're saying all with everything going on. I'm like, you can program stuff remotely. That shouldn't hold that up. I'm still trying to figure out if I'm going to get it for free or not. Because as an AT&T Unlimited customer, I get HBO Max for life. So I don't know if this is part of that, or HBO Go.
And let's hope. You and I both are in that boat, but let's hope that we actually
my
get it.
guy did say that they did have Last Week Tonight listed for tonight. I know they did a remote show 2 weeks ago, but there was no episode last week. So hopefully
might have been
I'll
a test run and seeing what worked in the ensuing time.
I mean, I know the Westworld's going to be on tonight, so I'll be watching that. Which, by the way, I know you haven't got caught up. All I'm saying about last week's episode, and I don't know if you've had it spoiled, it broke my brain. There was a moment,
that's a low bar.
There was a moment. Well, that's true. There was a moment in last week's episode that literally broke my brain to the point where my wife went, she was in the bedroom and she's like, are you okay? I'm like, I just saw something. It didn't make any sense, but it could be one of the coolest things I've ever seen.
So it wasn't necessarily hey, could you pass me a beer in the league?
No, that's the greatest moment in the history of that show. Westworld, it's just, you can't have Westworld on in the background. That's all I'm saying.
You have to pay attention. Yeah.
If you have a PS4 or a Nintendo Switch, interesting announcement that came down this week. They haven't said when, but coming soon, you will get Star Wars Episode 1 Pod Racer.
I did see that. And what was really interesting with that is apparently with the Switch, what has been holding that one up is that they've actually been working on a calibration to make it physically work within your Switch and the TV.
Oh, wow. Nice.
Which is entirely unique.
Any Amazon Prime deliveries you have scheduled, they could be delayed up to a month.
Yeah.
Depending on what it is, be prepared for that. However, I did order, with this headset that I have, I ordered an extension cable because the cable is not very long and it would have taken up a lot of the frame. I ordered that Thursday and it showed up yesterday.
And I have an extension currently on pace to arrive Tuesday.
So, believe me, it's going to make all the difference in the world to you. Trust me.
Yeah, well, you can see how I'm hunched into the iPad for the show. So.
But I will say that, like, deliveries, we haven't seen any major delays on stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The thing we're about to talk about was delayed, but not as bad as it could have been. 2 weeks ago, Friday, I made a purchase, and that's what we're gonna have something to review this week in Tech Talk and next week. I was sitting here. A friend of the show, Phil Marr, came over. And we were chit-chatting and things, and we were watching the Bob and Tom show because I can watch the video now, which is great because since they don't have to edit anything for the video, it goes up a lot quicker than the podcast. And since I'm here anyway, I just pull it up. They have an app on Apple TV now, which is even better. And I can watch the full show. In the breaks, they mute the microphones, but you can still see them. But I still fast forward through the commercials anyway because it's just Bob and Tom 24/7, which is bits I've already heard. And you get the local segments too, which is kind of cool. So right before every break, they have a sponsor because that's how they make their money. Everything from Omaha Steaks to Simply Safe. But there was something that caught my eye and my ear that I've been kind of on the fence with for a while. And when Tom Griswold did this spot, it was almost too good to pass up. I'm just going to show it to you because I got it sitting right here. I'm actually going to show you the box. I am not a huge fan of Ray J for a number of reasons. But I've been seeing these Raycons reviewed for a while now. And it was intriguing to me. The more I heard about them, the more they intrigued me, because I've been looking for true wireless earbuds for a while. I have Bluetooth, but they've got the cable on them. And sometimes, like when I'm working out or mowing the lawn, like it's good if I just need to take one of them out because it can just dangle down. But when I'm working out or mowing the yard, it gets to be too much. And my wife won some, I think she did at work, but they're made for her phone. My wife has a Samsung Galaxy, where I have an iPhone. I'm part of the revolution. I have an iPhone. Been an iPhone customer for over a decade. It's so weird. I have iPads, I've had iPods, I've got an iPhone, won't get a Mac. I don't know where my mental block is. So
Windows.
Yeah. So these are the E55s. These are the higher end of the two wireless earbuds. They also have over-the-ear headphones as well that are wireless. These are normally $120 a pair, which is still cheaper than EarPods. And I am not a fan of the EarPod in any way, shape, or form, because I don't like the way
AirPod.
they fit in my ear. Yeah, well, the AirPod, yes, you're absolutely right. But even the wired versions of them, I have, that came with my phone, don't like the way they sit in my ears. It's just, I have oddly shaped ears. And so I actually require two different sizes of the earbuds themselves. Never been a fan. I think they look weird. I'm just not a fan. So these were marked down to $89.99. But, and I don't mind using their promo code. If you go there, use the promo code TOM, TOM15, TOM15. You get an extra 15% off. So now these that are normally $120, I got for about $70, $78. So, of course, passed it through the boss, because my wife and I are very transparent on what we spend. She's like, you know what? Sounds like a good idea. Go ahead and do it. So I ordered them 2 weeks ago on Friday. Phil and I were sitting here talking about them. He's like, you know what? Let me know what you think. This is by no way an endorsed review of this product. I owned it, paid with it my own money. They were delivered on Wednesday. Here they are. Now, when I first opened the box, there are 6 different sizes of earbuds in there, which is great. They also have, just like these do, these don't wrap around your ear. They sit up inside the cartilage. The last pair that I had that were like this were a nightmare, because they wouldn't sit. They would just fall out all the time. I couldn't find a fit that worked well. But this is when this technology first became a thing. And it just wasn't, the buds themselves were too big. The mechanism was too large. They did not sit in my ear well. So when I got these in, they do come with a USB 3.0, I believe is the connection. This is actually a charger, just like AirPods are. And when you plug them in, you can actually charge these up to 6 times before you have to charge the carrying case. And I don't know how that compares to AirPods. And Alex, I believe you have those, don't you?
I do not. I am actually in the boat with you. I do not like AirPods.
Oh, I thought you had a pair. I'm sorry.
No. Sean bought me a pair, but they never sat in my ear, so they were not mine.
So, and I don't know how many times you can charge AirPods before you have to hook them up. I don't know. So you open up this little deal, and they're smaller than you would think they would be. When I first opened it, it didn't turn me off, but they're definitely smaller than I thought they would be. So when you open the box, you can see, you can either open it this way or it slides open. The charger's here, and then your earbuds are here. And I don't know if I've got this is how the earbuds come themselves. Try to get them out of the glare if I can. So you can see there's 5 different sizes, but there's also a pair that are on there when you get them. So you're not tied down to any specific size.
Now, is it actually 5 unique, or is one of those a matching to what comes on it?
I think one of them. So it's technically 5 sizes, but I think they match the mediums. I think.
That's what I wanted to.
Now these may look small. However, if I pull it out, it's going to turn them on. But they do really. There's no multiple sizes of what sits inside the cartilage. It's one size. But I will tell you, fits like a champ. So check the first box. Comfort. I wore these on Thursday when I was out edging my yard. At one point, I forgot they were in there.
That's a big point.
Yeah,
right
well,
there.
like I'm listening to music, so logically I would remember that they were there, but I reached up and was like, oh, they're still sitting in there. They never moved. They never fell out. They never shifted. And I had them in my ears for about 2.5 hours. Normal talk time, I believe. Ooh, don't get me lying. I don't know where I put the manual for them. I want to say
thought it was 4 to 6 hours.
I think it's 5 to 6 at a time. And you can charge them, you can have them up to 36 hours without having to recharge the case. So that's 6 charges, basically. So check box number 1. Check box number 2 was when I first got them in. I wanted to see how well they isolated sound. So I had Bob and Tom on in the background when I did that. Now, where I sit to where the TV is, to my left, is, what would you say, Alex? Probably about 20 feet?
Around
15,
that, 20,
15,
25
20
feet.
feet. So not very far. And I had them at a normal, what I could hear clearly, volume. Put these things in, cranked up some music, couldn't hear the TV at all. When I was outside edging, I could barely hear the weed eater as I was using it. So checkbox number 2, great isolation.
Now, to be fair, you also do crank up your music when you listen.
I absolutely do.
There is some level of that as well. So what I'm saying is that somebody else who may not turn it up that loud may still hear a little bit
I don't
more.
think they're going to have as much of a problem, because even when there wasn't music playing, what was going on around me was very faint. Checkbox number 3, the sound itself. This is the biggest one for me, because with electronics, you literally get what you pay for. I believe I got more than $120 of sound out of this thing. Was you saying 6 hours? Okay. When I cranked up the music I was listening to, and during that time, I listened to everything from rock to rap to country to jazz, even spoken word stuff. Clean as a bell. No tinniness. Bass response was solid. Music sound was full. No issues at all. And for Tom Griswold to endorse these, Tom is very much an audiophile. He's been in the radio industry for over 40 years. If he is going to endorse something, it's going to be because this is a guy that hates beats, hates them, detests beats quality. For him to say that and hold these in high regard, that's a big deal. Now, these are the titanium color. The colors are going to be varied when you get them, because they've already run out on the website 6 times and had to replenish. The gold ones are a little gaudy. I'm going to say it.
They have a market.
Yeah, well, they do, but everything does. But I got the titaniums. They're not very overstated. It's literally the size of the cartilage. The pictures don't lie. If there is a downside to these things, and I think this is more of a limitation of the technology than anything else, it's the functionality. I have to hold both buttons at the same time to turn them off, instead of just holding one and have it connect to both.
Do they have the auto shut off? I know, like, we had talked about the fact that I have the bottom rung equivalent from Amazon that I've been very happy with as just a beat around pair. But for me to turn them off, I literally just drop them into the charger and they will turn themselves off. Have you tried that with those?
I haven't tried that. I may try that next go round. I'm sure that's what it does.
Yeah,
I'm
because
just so used to
run
turning them
and be on
off
the charger. Can
before.
you?
I wouldn't think so. But
Yeah.
I'm also just,
Like-
I prefer to turn them off manually so I know they're off. So I'll try that this week and see what happens.
But like the equivalent of what I have is literally.
Okay, I think the Bluetooth in them just kicked in because you muted yourself out.
Actually, that would be it. So what I was saying was
that's why I didn't want to mess with them.
I noticed it got quiet, but that's
Yeah.
on me. But the ability where you saw the red light come on was where it kicked off and
Right.
started charging, but literally popping them out, auto connect, drop them in, turn off. So
I'll have to
I mean, you
experiment
tell
with
me
that
that that's gonna, because as somebody who has used those for a while, I would be shocked if that's not already built into them. But I think I saw another checkbox that you may not have thought of while researching on the website.
Okay.
The wireless
Good.
charging.
But see, I don't have that, so I don't. It does work with wireless chargers. That it does, but I don't have
That
it,
surprised. Well, that may have. I'm not gonna lie. That may have been like the last thing to push me over the line to give them a shot.
I'm telling you, if you can get in while the sale's good.
Well, but what I'm
$70
saying is because
I
have set up wireless chargers everywhere in my house and in my office because I'm so used to just dropping my phone on it. Now, if it's move the phone, drop that on there for a little bit, that's a big sell for me.
I'm telling you, if I had thrown around money, I would pay double. I would pay more for these than I would pay for AirPods, whatever you want to call
them. I have a problem right now.
Okay.
And it's one of those the most first world of first world problems because what's available is the black, blue, and gold.
Mm-hmm.
And none of those colors jump at me like the titaniums that you have do. So there's a genuine part of me that's like holding out hope that the titaniums pop up before the sale ends.
The
at the
red.
risk of shooting myself.
What did you say was currently available?
Black, blue, and gold. The red is gone.
Okay. So the website is buyraycon.com. BUYRAYCON.com. Let me see.
I have an entirely different website.
The everyday, well, you can go Raycon Global too, but buy Raycon.
That's the one I have.
The everyday, which are the E25s, those have sold out 4 times. Those are available in black, blue, and gold.
It's the same with the Performer.
All right, the Performer is the E55. That's what I have.
That's the one you have.
The other downside that I've found is, like, I called Alex while I had them in, and he said I did not see the sound quality on the phone call. But that's just because my ears are shaped weird.
Also to confirm, you mean BYU or BUY?
BUY. I'm sorry. Buy.
Yeah, because the buy BY does not work.
Right. BUY Raycon. Right now on sale for $89.99. Use the promo code TOM15 TOM15. You'll get an additional 15% off that. Runs out to about $75-$80. Shipping is free. If you don't like them, returns are free. And there's some pretty heavy hitters that endorse these. And if you want to call us that, I'm fully endorsing. This is a 5-star review from me. I will probably actually use the hashtag Raycon, which will probably be in the description of this episode. And I will gladly let them know that we reviewed it on our show. I'm a big fan. Go buy yourself a pair of these. Especially while
I wonder if I should just buy the golds just to mess with you.
You wouldn't mess with me. You'd be on your head, not mine.
Technically, they'd be in my head.
Raycon, definitely check. Next week on the show, I just want to make sure.
Joke than you're acting.
I got a couple more questions I got to ask. But next week on the show, we should be reviewing something that I'm very excited to tell you about as well that may or may not be available to you yet. Maybe I'm so cool that I got to test something. You don't know. I mean, you know, but you don't know. All right. So let's get into chapter 2 of a series we started last week on the show. Oh, nope, I'm not talking to you, show. My phone thought I was talking to her. As well as going through the MCU in order, for Ragnarok is next, I have been going through the James Bond films in release order. As of today, I have made it all the way through up to the end of the Roger Moore era. So I have got 9 or 10 to go. I think I'm down to, I think I have 9 left because Living Daylights is next. So last week we left off, we ended the Sean Connery era with Diamonds Are Forever, which made up for Goldfinger. A little bit smoother diamonds. I was thinking about it, and I don't know if we talked about it last week, but I think because of the ham-fisted vocal, as Chick McGee likes to say, of why did I just lose her name?
Shirley Bassey.
Shirley Bassey. My brain thought that Diamonds Are Forever was the same way, but it's not. It's a lot smoother. Diamonds are forever. It was like she didn't like Ethel Merman it. You know,
you went very show tunes with it.
Well, because that's what most of them are. I mean, they're
is
kind of show tuning at the same time. So we start this week, and Alex, the way we're doing this is Alex is giving me the movie. We're going to talk about it briefly. We're getting started a little bit later than we did last week, but we can go as long as we want. We don't care.
All right. Are you ready to get on?
Let's do it.
1973, from the film of the same name, Live and Let Die.
Live and Let Die, Paul McCartney and Wings, the very first Roger Moore film. Roger Moore was actually supposed to take over in the previous film, but he didn't. That is why there were certain things that were done and said that would have been ushered him in earlier. Live and Let Die, don't even bury the lead. One of the greatest James Bond films of all time. And the first time that a band did a theme over a solo artist. And only the second time, well, maybe not, maybe more than that. I'm not going to go there. But the first time that I ever played a James Bond theme and my home theater, every bit of it was used. The first time I got to really listen to a Bond theme in true, honest-to-God surround sound. And all of the Blu-rays that I have the 5.1 DTS track on them. Just amazing sound to them. Sounded
And
great.
this-
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
And this was the one I was saying is top 2. I might back that down to top 3 for me.
This is definitely a metal round for me.
Yeah.
Guns N' Roses does a really good cover of it. By the way, just to go back just a little bit, if you have Sirius XM, make sure you check out channel 302, the covers channel. I am digging this. It's all cover songs.
I thought it was 304. I'll double check.
I think it's 302. But earlier today, I heard Bruce Springsteen covering Stayin' Alive with a horn section, and it was dope. Right now, they're playing Rod Stewart covering How Long. I've got it on in the living room, but it's muted.
I'm sorry. Wait, could you say that again?
Yeah, how long has this
with
been
Rod
going on? It's hard, but I have it on mute, so I can't hear it. But yeah,
Well, no. But I just wanted to make sure I heard How
you
Long.
heard that correctly.
I love that
Yes.
song.
Great song on the soundtrack to
And
Invincible.
Rod Stewart, which didn't go in my head.
So, Live and Let Die.
I retract. You did say 302.
Yeah, as a movie, my problem was I couldn't see the one dude, the without hearing crisp and clean and no caffeine, because he did all those commercials. I can't get past that. Not a bad film, not a great film, but one of the greatest themes ever made.
No, it's Roger Moore,
And
so it's
just-
inherently going to be less than other films.
And just about any theme song, much less than James Bond, but definitely in the metal round for James Bond.
I love that song, regardless of who does it. As
Yeah.
long as they don't
Oh,
butcher
indeed.
it. Let me put it that way.
And to Guns N' Roses' credit, it was a straightforward cover.
Yeah.
But as we know,
Yeah, no,
Axl
and
Rose
that's
much
one of
better in
those
the
where
studio.
Axl Rose didn't get all his Axl Rose on it.
Well, it's because it's a studio
As you would
recording.
put it.
Axl Rose in the studio much better than he has live. Just
Also
like
true.
just like Mary J. Blige. All right, moving on.
All right, then we're on to 1974, The Man with the Golden Man with the Golden Gun by Lulu.
Man with the Gold Gun, Lulu. Not her finest hour. The rare Lulu misstep. Lulu did the theme to Sir with Love, which is a great theme song. This, no. As a film, man, there's a lot going on here. But you get to use
before we get into any of it, have you ever seen the reports of the fact that, or the alleged story that Man with the Golden Gun almost killed the James Bond franchise?
Absolutely. Remember, I read all the trivia as I watch the films as I'm going through this.
See, and I'm not even going off the trivia. I'm literally going off of stuff I remember.
And a lot of people don't understand, this was before Fantasy Island.
Mm-hmm.
So this was what really got Hervé Villechaize's career up and running, and he was living in his car when he got the role of Nick Nack. And I just love the way he said Scaramanga. I just love the way he said that. I don't know about him having a nubbin. That was weird for me. Man with the Golden Gun from a movie standpoint is probably middle of the pack for me. I mean, a lot of people, it's got sentimental value because they played GoldenEye.
Mm-hmm.
And if you had the GoldenEye,
if you had the Golden Gun, you were a cheater. That was stupid.
If you had the Golden Gun,
or if you used Odd Job, I hate you.
Go pound sand. Because
I hate you flat out.
I knew people that would just sit up and they would just snipe and they would just cheaters. Cheaters never prosper. They win sometimes, but they never prosper. But theme song, hot garbage. Just like, and it's not even a time capsule theme song. It's just a bad song. And I'm a big Lulu fan. I enjoy the work of Lulu. Like I said, To Sir with Love, one of the greatest theme songs of all time.
Well, and I'm actually having a moment. Is it every theme song that has gold in it that is just bad for James Bond?
Goldfinger is not a bad theme. It's badly presented. That's the thing about Goldfinger, because you could Goldfinger. You could.
Well, no.
So
you have to take it for what it is. You have to take it for what it is. Is every gold referenced theme song bad?
No, because we've got one coming up that I'm not.
You picked
up
what I was putting down. Yeah. I wanted to see if I could bait you on that.
But we are going to talk about that next week because there's a certain aspect to that theme that keeps it out of the top 5 for me. But we're going to talk about that. Oh yeah, we're going to talk about that one next week. Man with the Golden Gun as a movie, and it's sunk. It's definitely sunk by the theme song. But one of the things I love about the James Bond films, why does everything have a label? Like, it's bad enough that the bad guy is going to lay out his entire plan before it happens, so James knows what's to do to stop him. But it's like, mission abort button. Okay. Sure, why not?
But you can't find it until the last 5 seconds.
God bless you, 1970s.
All right.
What's next?
So are we ready?
Yep.
So 1977, the interesting thing is, it is the first Bond movie that does not have a theme of the same name since Dr. No. It is Nobody Does It Better by Carly Simon from The Spy Who Loved Me.
But the title of the film is in the song.
Right, but what I'm saying is the title of the song does not match the movie.
But do you know the other thing about that theme? That is the first Bond
not with
theme,
that open question.
The first Bond theme to be written by an American.
Really?
Because it was written by Marvin Hamlish, who was huge at the time.
Okay.
And a lot of it takes place in America too, which is part, if I remember correctly, because now they're all starting to blur. The Spy Who Loved Me, Nobody Does It Better. You know what? You know what sinks, but you know what sinks that song for me?
What's that?
The way it's done in the end credits. And I don't know how long it's been since you watched The Spy Who Loved Me.
It's been a very long time.
But the way it's done in the end credits, it's like a men's a cappella choir.
Ew.
That if there was a search done for the whitest men in America to sing a song, they found all of them. It's so bad. It's like the end credits kicked up and you're just like, James Bond wins and he gets the girl, and what the hell is that? Nobody does it better. Like, oh. God.
And the worst part is you say that and I instantly remember it and I just remember going, oh.
Oh yeah, no. You're just like, wait a minute.
Literally,
wait.
12-year-old me is like, yeah, the movie's done. That was cool. And why am I hearing this?
Yeah, it just. And
It's like, I don't want to say offended by it, but it wasn't far off.
Carly Simon. Okay, this is the written summary, so this wasn't done in America. But Barbara Bach, Agent Triple X, which I'm surprised no one has sued Vin Diesel for gimmick infringement. But this is also the first one that had Richard Kiel.
That would require them to want to take credit for it.
But Richard Kiel was in this. This is the first of the two films. The only time that you've had the same henchman in back-to-back films with Jaws.
Mm-hmm. The great Richard Kiel.
Interesting when you read the trivia on this because of how uncomfortable that was for him. Like,
yeah, I can imagine.
The stuntman wouldn't wear it.
Really?
He wore like orange peels to get the facial structure. That's true. You can read it.
Makes sense.
This theme song, middle of the pack. Because if I remember correctly, this theme song was everywhere.
Yeah, I could see where that would hit for you. Because yes, it was. It still is in a bunch of places.
Yeah, and it's okay. It's not great.
You know what the worst part about it is? It's become a wedding song.
Awkward.
I have been at multiple weddings where they played it like that. And I remember just looking at it going...
Nominated for 3 Oscars.
But I wonder, does this one fall middle of the pack for you because of the closing credits? Or is it because...
It definitely knocks it down a couple of notches, but not in general. Like,
so it's not Carly Simon that knocks it down.
No, I love Carly Simon. I'm a big fan of Carly Simon. I think the song she did for Working Girl, Let the River Flow or Let the River Run, that got nominated for an Oscar, and that's a great song.
I think it's River Run.
And that's a great song. And we had that at my theater when I worked at the movie theater in high school. We carried that film, so I heard it 4 times a day. But
only?
Well, because I didn't work a double. If I worked a double, I heard it 7 times a day.
Yeah.
But again, decent movie, not great. Here comes the pivot, though, of the whole franchise, which I'm waiting for you to bridge to.
Oh, okay. So we're jumping ahead. We're skipping 1978 and going straight to 1979.
No. No. We have to go to the next film because the next film is the pivot.
Is 1979.
Is that when the next film was?
Yes.
Okay.
I have it from their site here. Remember, 007.com.
That's fine. Go ahead.
That's what we're working off of in case anybody has any questions.
Now, at the end of The Spy Who Loved Me, you would always have James Bond will return in. Watching The Spy Who Loved Me, it says James Bond will return in For Your Eyes Only, which he would not. Because...
the next one was 1979's Moonraker and the return of Shirley Bassey.
For the final time. This will be the final theme. This is her 3rd one. She's only done 3.
Correct.
Moonraker only happens because 3 months before, because The Spy Who Loved Me was released the August 3rd, 1977. About 2.5 months prior, a small film called Star Wars is released.
Just a little small film.
It was an independent film. Nobody ever heard of it. Because of the success of Star Wars, Moonraker gets put in the place of For Your Eyes Only. Now, what people don't understand is Moonraker
James Bond in space.
But not necessarily. But a lot of people think that it was written because of Star Wars. Moonraker was actually a story way back that was almost made into a film in the late 50s. Now, there are some modifications made to it because of the space shuttle and things like that. Man, this is bad. Like, I don't know if it's because I was 6 when Moonraker came out, but the theme is terrible. The theme is absolutely horrible. Now, it's not the ham-fisted vocal from Goldfinger.
You love that term. You really love that term.
I know. It's just because it just makes me giggle. Thank you, Chick McGee. But In the first time in the chorus, she says, as the Moonraker goes, because like there's a mention of his love for gold, which then ties it back to Goldfinger.
Mm-hmm.
This is the second appearance of Jaws. Jaws does the face turn at the end. Spoiler alert. Lois Childs, and this is an interesting fact from this film. Lois Childs, who plays Holly Goodhead. See what you did there. That's the James Bond tradition.
It is, but it still catches me. Whenever I can't remember which one it is, it always is like, well, I don't remember them being that overt. Holly Goodhead.
Now, she was actually pregnant when they were making this. Lois Childs was pregnant during the production of this film.
Resisting the urge to make a joke.
Which, you know, you think back, if you go back to Avengers Age of Ultron, Scarlett Johansson was pregnant during the making of that. So the way they had to do camera angles and stuff so as not to show that. Now, here's something you may not know. Is it Moonraker or is it the one after this? I think it's the one after this. We're going to hold on to that. This would be the last time that you would see Bernard Lee as M. Because Bernard Lee passed away before they could make For Your Eyes Only, if I'm not mistaken. Was it For Your Eyes Only? I have to look this up because I may be a movie ahead of myself. Let me just do that real quick.
Talk about Moonraker. I got this.
So, no, yeah, Moonraker was the last one he did. The thing about Michael Lonsdale as Hugo Drax, first of all, Michael Lonsdale in this film looks like he could be related to Peter Dinklage. Look it up.
Yeah.
But he also looks like he could be, I think he was channeling Orson Welles in this. And there's a little too much, like, he's not Hitler, but you can see it from here. Because at one point, Bond actually says you're looking to make a master race. Like, they're not even hiding it. But at this point, to me, more is starting. Father Time is catching up. He was kind of he did not like this film at all. He would say later in life. It was too asinine. The plot was too far out there. It just didn't work for him.
And it's funny that you say that, and we're still not to another movie that could be arguably more along those lines.
From a theme song standpoint, not great.
Oh, have you jumped ahead to For Your Eyes Only?
No, I'm still on Moonraker. No, Moonraker as a theme, not great. As a movie, does not age well, does not hold up well.
I remember the suits. The suits just always looking stupid.
But
Richard Keel, we have aluminum foil.
Well, Richard Keel also has the one line of dialogue. He only has one line of dialogue in 2 films.
Yeah.
And that was after the face turn.
Other than, grunting.
Yeah. And for those of you that do wonder, in Moonraker, in the scene with the cable car, when he bites the cable car in half, cable was made of licorice.
Mm-hmm.
So you got
that one I did know.
All right, let's move on.
All right. Now we are jumping 2 years ahead. Yep. Because we skipped 1978, which was our first break. Now we go from 1979 to 1981 with For Your Eyes Only by Sheena Easton.
For Your Eyes Only.
Which already sounds like a different kind of movie.
I love For Your Eyes Only from a cheese factor standpoint. Because in the very beginning of For Your Eyes Only, you're seeing some surveillance footage that is labeled on the screen, very secret. Like, that literally says that on the screen, very secret.
That is fair.
This is also, and I said this in my post about as I was watching this film, this is the first and only Bond film where the performer of the theme is in the credit sequence. Now, Madonna is in Die Another Day, but she's not part of the credit sequence, so that doesn't count.
Okay.
There were reports that Sheena Easton had to wear a harness to keep her head still while she sang because of the way they filmed it, that the slightest movement would blur the screen. Which her response to that was, "It's the most uncomfortable I've ever been, but it got my face in 70 millimeter."
Which is a very interesting point.
But I would need to see the paperwork on this, because she moves all the way through the thing. There's a lot of "for your eyes only," like she's moving her head. I need to see the paperwork on that, because reading that in the trivia made me go, wait, hold on. One of my favorite Bond themes of all time. Love that song. It encompasses the Bond vibe. It's Sheena Easton, bias. How you doing? But it is one of my favorite themes. Now, from the standpoint of the movie itself, it does weigh itself down a bit, because there's multiple things going on. There is kind of a cool thing where Bond almost falls off a cliff, and he takes his. First of all, Bond wearing what appears to be Chuck Taylors is a little interesting for me. But he takes his shoelaces off to tie a knot around the mountain climbing rope that he uses. That's actually real, and it can be done. And that was actually the 50th anniversary of the widespread use of the knot that he uses there, which is why they did it. But when looking through this cast list, there's somebody in here that you are a big fan of. Don't look at it.
I'm not looking at it. I'm going to say, please go on. I was looking at research for the next.
In the role of Klaus, one Charles Dance.
Charlie Dance.
Papa Lannister is in this film.
You know what the worst part is? I knew that. I couldn't remember which movie it was, and for some reason I thought it was the next one.
And you know who is also a veteran of 3 Bond films that ties into the Star Wars universe?
I do know this.
Jeremy Bulloch.
Yes.
Boba Fett is a thrice Bond alumni. From a movie standpoint, it goes on a little long for me. The whole thing with the ice skater was unnecessary and a little creepy. And respect for the screenwriters to get Bond to push her away. But that took away from it for me. There was too much jumping from place to place for me on this. Great theme song. Now, last week I told you a story. I teased a story, and this is going to be that story. Everybody has those songs that you've screwed up the lyrics for years.
Yeah, here we go.
This is the earliest. Now, I did actually talk to my mom yesterday, because somebody asked me today, what was the first Bond movie you ever watched? I really don't know. But I talked to my mom yesterday, and she's like, I don't know either.
Really? I would have thought that she'd have known.
Mm-mm.
Because of you talking about having seen so many with
I want to say the first Bond movie I ever watched was either this one or the next one. It's one of the two. The next one I know I've watched on cable, and that's a whole different story that you and I can talk about off air. And it's a little too personal. Let's just put it that way. It's not creepy or weird or anything. It's a very, very personal story. Verse 2, maybe I'm an open book because I know you're mine. I am in the car with my mom in her 1979 silver Mustang with a red interior that I was supposed to inherit and didn't. At the top of my lungs, and I'm owning this. This happened. She will attest to it. I don't know if she remembers.
I'm literally muting myself so I don't howl over you.
Maybe I'm a lonely goat because I know you're mine. There it was. That's the lyric. Now, to my 8-year-old self, actually 7, because I hadn't turned 8 yet, this made perfect sense. My mother lost her
I'm
mind.
never going to hear that song in a different way now.
My mother lost her mind in this. But yeah, as a film, I would say upper middle of the pack. As a theme song, top 5. just because just the opening of that song alone just puts the vibe so tight in place. Loved it.
Are we ready to go on to the next?
We got 2 left.
Well, this is the last one that was released before I was born.
Okay.
We have All Time High by Rita Coolidge from
Which we talked about that on last week's show. I
Pussy.
don't think we have to relive that.
Octopussy.
We don't have to Maud Adams, this is her second Bond film. And Louis Jourdan is the bad guy. I mean, come on, man. Kamal Khan. Not a great theme. It's a little too, and this is possible. It's a little too cheesy for a Bond theme. It's better than Moonraker.
Come on, you can get one more ham-fisted in before we finish today.
But no, but Rita Coolidge, very smooth.
Oh no, I'm saying you can get in one more, saying it's
when
not
when it comes to Rita Coolidge, I prefer Your Love Has Lifted Me Higher, which was used in Ghostbusters 2.
Well, that's everybody's favorite from her. Either it's that or you're wrong.
As a film, it's not bad. It's got the guy with the yo-yo suit, the yo-yo blade in it. Roger Moore in a clown suit's a little much for me.
A little too accurate.
And boy, they just wanted to let us know how expensive Fabergé eggs are.
Yes, they did.
Boy, that was a big deal.
Never understood it.
And it just, I don't know. Like, I like the girl power ending to it. I dug that. Of all the girls just doing awesome and doing ninja stuff. That was cool for me. But overall, upper middle of the pack probably for me.
Yeah, I also find it very weird that Ocean's 12 had an homage to Octopussy as well with that, the Fabergé egg and everything, where you just sit there and you go, it didn't work the first time that well.
And her bed was cool. The octopus bed that had the pillow at the top, that was cool.
Mm-hmm.
And the yo-yo blade. Points for the yo-yo blade. Even though that's like, once he couldn't do the yo-yo thing with it, it was pretty much useless. But that one thing about it was really cool. But I also don't understand this, spoiler alert. When he kills the other guy, who's actually a tennis player in real life.
No hesitation. No hesitation after spoiler alert.
When he kills him, like, you got a saw blade thrown at you. But somehow he stayed alive long enough for Q to get there? But they never really say where it hits him, so maybe he just bled out and hit him in the shoulder. I don't know. One more to go. We're already over time. Let's go.
Oh, I noticed. That's why. So
we're going to wrap up the Roger Moore era
with Duran Duran and A View to a Kill in 1985.
One of my favorite Bond films ever.
Oh,
love this song. I sang it in my studio last night to see if I could do it. I love A View to a Kill. I love this song.
It's terrible.
No, it's so 1985. It's ridiculous.
That it's fair. Yeah, but I was
like, this is Duran Duran.
Came out?
But you have to understand, this is Duran Duran. Like, they took the world by storm.
Peak Duran Duran.
And this was the Bond producers wanting to be more modern and appeal to the MTV generation. Because MTV was everything in the mid 80s because it started
because Grace Jones and
Grace Jones, apparently it's kind of weird because Roger Moore did not enjoy working with her. Grace Jones never spoke anything but highly of him, but she was trying to be method and didn't bother to tell anybody.
Yeah, there's been conflicting reports to that though. For example, the one that we heard about on another show that involved a certain item and Roger Moore.
Now,
that's not method. That is goosing.
The downside to the theme to A View to a Kill is the flute version that's played in the bedroom scene. that loses points. I don't need Zamfir, master of the pan flute, giving me his rendition of A View to a Kill. But
that's pretty funny.
Yeah, it's tough. But and the whole movie's just absurd. The plot's absurd. The Silicon Valley thing's weird. Spoiler alert towards the end in 3, 2, 1. The Russians being like, no, we need Silicon Valley too. What? But it is all saved by the scene-chewing smorgasbord that is Christopher Walken. And not just Christopher Walken, a blonde Christopher Walken, which is completely next level.
The completely flipped off Borges schmord of Christopher Walken.
Now, when you get because the subplot here, the horses, that actually comes into play later in License Renewed,
Yes.
which is actually a book I did a book report on my freshman year in high school. But did you notice, and I don't know if you've been able to watch this film lately.
Not
But
lately, no.
In this scene at the horse track where the KGB does the whole nobody escapes the KGB, did you notice who one of the bodyguards was?
I believe I saw your post
big
about
screen date. No, I didn't post this.
Oh,
In his big screen debut,
go on.
Dolph Lundgren.
Oh, I did know about that.
He is one of the
Because
guards
You know why?
because he was with Grace Jones at the time.
Yes, they were an item at the time.
Mhm.
And he also did not speak English, allegedly.
Oh, not until Rocky IV.
And even then.
Well, he knew a couple things. He could break you. But this film, like,
I missed that shirt.
if you want to watch a film that is just pure cheese, like this could be
This is
metal
pure from a can cheese.
Yeah, this is metal round cheese. But something I thought that was interesting that I read in the trivia, and I don't know if this was done on purpose, but this was not only the last film for Moore, this was also the last film for Lois Maxwell as Moneypenny.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. She was not given the choice.
Oh.
But in her final scene, because they think, as happens in almost every Bond film, that he's disappeared and he may be dead, she is actually crying. And a lot of people feel that there's a dual purpose to that because this was her final scene as Moneypenny.
Mm-hmm.
But since this was also Moore's final film, did you notice the last thing he does?
No.
Q has a robot going through Sarah's house looking for
Now,
him.
to be fair, I also haven't seen this movie
Right.
in over 10 years. So
The robot finds Bond and Sarah in the shower together.
because Bond.
So in order for James to stop the robot from recording, he throws a white towel at him, therefore throwing in the towel as his last scene as James Bond.
I don't feel like that was actually thought through. I think that's coincidence.
It wouldn't surprise me
Fair enough.
because this franchise has a habit of doing that.
Except for the fact that this, in a View to a Kill, there's so many things that it's like, well, what do we do if we think this through? We don't need to think it through. Let's throw in the Russians.
Because when you're flying in a, first
Zeppelin.
of all, the Zeppelin, the demise of the Zeppelin is insane on so many levels. Number one, that explosion should have been 20 times worse than it was because what goes in a dirigible? Helium.
Yeah.
Secondly, if I'm driving something that's full of helium, why wouldn't I have a bunch of dynamite in the back of it? It just...
See, this is one of those things that has always made me stick as why this is the worst Bond movie. Is because
Moonraker is so
the
much worse than
helium-
this.
I
Moonraker is
forgive
so
Moonraker
much
for
worse.
what it
No,
was.
you can't forgive Moonraker
Yes, I can.
because oh god, that movie was so much worse than this. So
But
we're
I can
now
explain most of the things in Moonraker. In this, I'm just like, why the?
So we've now been through 3 of the 6 Bonds. We're halfway through the number of Bonds. We're over halfway through the number of films. Next week, we will talk about what happened at this point because a lot of people don't understand the background.
Are we talking about a certain contract dispute?
Yes,
Just checking.
that led to a heck of a lawsuit.
Yes.
That we're going to talk about on next week's episode. Now, I know we're running way over, so we have to do this really quick. Next week, we're going to try to do a show on Sunday afternoon because WrestleMania is next weekend and it's taking 2 days, which Go watch the other show for us to rant and rave about that. The Cheap Podcast will record on Saturday afternoon. This will record on Sunday afternoon. So we are going to have content for you. Make sure that you're following our YouTube channel as well as bookmarking vocalnow.com. Follow us on all the social media, the Clubhouse Podcast on everything except Twitter, which is Clubhouse Show. We are your one-stop shop. Well, I hope we are your number one-stop shop, but who knows? For all things pop culture. We will take Easter week off. Nobody's going to church, but we want people to spend time with their families, at least the ones that are in their homes. We cannot thank you enough for being a part of this show with us every week. Make sure you go to prowrestlingtees.com/thecheappodcast, get your t-shirts. We are such a fan of all of y'all. You can follow me on all social media. Everything is yes, that Rob Irvin. That is spelled ERVIN.
I am Vexblight on all social media. No, it is not a coincidence. We are your consciences right now, with Rob with the white background as the angel and me with the black background as your devil. Remember, that is Vexblight on all social media, and remember to catch our regular shows when all of this passes on the Vocal Media Network at vokalnow.com, or download the Vocal app and be vocal anywhere. There is a ton of content on those feeds.
Something for everybody on the Vocal Now Network. We're also losing daylight. I just happen to have 2 monitors. That's why I've got so much light, and I got a 3rd one as my laptop. The official fact checker of this show is Don Ford. You can follow him on Twitter at Igbunu, IGBUNUUU. The lady of the house is Jen Rome. You can follow her on Instagram at Jen Rome Home. Remember, we're here for you. Now that we're doing this, though, we might be able to get you some more content throughout the week. If something breaks, we will talk about that. Make sure you're following us on all social media. Make sure you're bookmarking Vocal Now. Follow us on YouTube and the Twitch and all that good stuff. We love you guys so much. Stay safe. Listen to what professionals are telling you. We will talk to you next week. Until then, I'm Rob. This is the Clubhouse Podcast. Brittany Palmer, she's been staying busy with all of her art. Check out her art. It's amazing.